My name is Myra Ingram. I'm 32 years old, and 3 weeks ago, my own mother orchestrated what she called a family meeting in her living room, but I call it an ambush, hiring 3 lawyers to try to force me to sign away the inheritance my father left me, assuming I would tremble at legal jargon and Latin phrases, assuming the daughter they had dismissed for 20 years would bow her head and comply. But they were wrong. And to understand why I was standing in that room, I need to go back 25 years to the day my parents divorced, when I was 7 and my world split in two. My father, Thomas Ingram, a carpenter who built furniture, cabinets, and dreams, but couldn't build the defense against my mother's lawyers, lost almost everything in the divorce, while my mother took the house, custody, and what felt like all of life, leaving Dad with only 2 weekends a month and a heart full of regret. And I remember the last time he dropped me off at Mom's, kneeling on the porch, his calloused hands gentle on my shoulders, whispering that he'd always love me, though I didn't understand why his eyes were wet, because I was 7 and thought dads just cried sometimes. And a year later, Mom remarried Richard Porter, who brought his own daughter, Wilissa, and a new family structure in which I didn't fit. Richard never yelled or hit me, but he acted as if I wasn't there, shrinking me further with each dinner party introduction. And I learned to become invisible because it was safer. Fewer questions, fewer comparisons, though it meant being forgotten. And the favoritism was obvious, like the time I asked for money for textbooks and was told to ask my father, while Melissa got a brand new car at 18. And I started working after school, washing dishes, mowing lawns. Every dollar earned a small rebellion against the family that ignored me, though Richard always noticed and commented on my resemblance to Dad. And at my high school graduation, when I was top of my class in mathematics, my family didn't show. Only Dad, wearing his old brown jacket, clapping louder than anyone, handing me an envelope he'd saved for my college secretly for 14 years until his death. And then the call came on a Tuesday morning from Harold Whitmore, my father's lawyer, informing me that Thomas had passed 3 days ago and that he left me as the sole beneficiary of an estate totaling almost $800,000, including the house, savings, and personal effects, which I struggled to believe since Dad lived modestly. But Harold explained he had invested wisely and had prepared everything so I would be protected. And then came the calls from Mom, relatives, Aunt Linda, Uncle Robert, all subtly pressuring me to give up what was rightfully mine, which I refused. And then the family meeting was scheduled, Mom attempting a facade of sweetness, with Richard, lawyers, and other family members poised to intimidate me, suggesting I sign away 70 to 80% of the estate. But I stood firm, refusing to give up what Dad wanted me to have. And then the ambush began in earnest in their living room, lawyers Stevens and Martinez presenting papers for voluntary relinquishment, claiming Dad wasn't of sound mind, and pushing for a family settlement, while Mom's fake tears and Richard's smug threats pressed on me. But I calmly texted Harold, who arrived minutes later, the ambush, unexpectedly, ambushed, presenting psychiatric evaluations proving Dad's competence, notarized legal documents, and a USB drive containing 47 text messages, 23 phone calls, and 15 social media posts documenting the family's coordinated harassment campaign, shattering their legal and emotional leverage. And Mom's mask cracked as she screamed, threatened, and attempted to intimidate me. But Harold's calm legal mastery kept us in control, ultimately forcing the lawyers to retreat, leaving Mom, Richard, and Aunt Linda visibly shaken. And yet the aftermath wasn't over, because 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m., the security system Dad had installed caught Richard's truck in the front yard, later confirmed via surveillance and police investigation to be him and Mom attempting arson, pouring gasoline along the porch and setting it ablaze, thwarted only by Dad's hidden sprinkler system. And the police quickly apprehended both, discovering detailed communications proving the plot. And during the trial, the overwhelming evidence led to convictions. Richard receiving 10 years for first-degree arson and conspiracy, Mom 5 years for conspiracy with parole eligibility, their threats of regret echoing the same chilling warnings given at the cafe and in the living room, while Harold and I ensured the legal protections were absolute, the house secured, and my inheritance untouchable. And amid this, I reconciled in small ways with Melissa, who admitted her past silence had been complicity, and we cautiously attempted a fresh start as two people who shared history but not enmity, while Aunt Linda and Uncle Robert apologized and reoriented their loyalties. And a year later, living in Dad's house, preserving his workshop as he left it, smelling the sawdust, arranging the tools, sitting sometimes with tea, talking to him if he couldn't hear me, understanding now that Dad's wealth was about security, not display, that his real gift was protecting my dignity, my right to stand tall, not the paper, the money. While Mom remains in prison, sending letters I choose not to read, Harold's guidance teaching me the difference between cruelty and protection, and Melissa occasionally visiting, our bond tentative but real, as I continue my engineering work, live safely in the home he left me, cherish the photographs and notes from the hand-carved box, revealing every moment he watched over me, every choice I made on my own, every triumph and heartbreak, holding the proof of his love and presence close to my chest, feeling the emptiness of battle softened by the knowledge that the legacy my father built, the dignity he secured, the love he gave, remains unshaken, intact, and fully mine.